What if I told you your childhood wasn't normal? It was a battlefield. Growing up under narcissistic parents, it isn't just tough. It's psychological warfare, manipulation, gaslighting, guilt tripping. These aren't just words, they are weapons. And the scars, they don't fade easily. From anxiety to self-doubt, from perfectionism to people-pleasing, these effects run deep. But here's the real question. How do you break free? Let's expose the truth. Let's talk about the hidden wounds of narcissistic parenting and how to heal. So what are the effects of narcissistic parenting on children? How does narcissistic parenting affect kids? Narcissistic parenting can have deep and long-lasting effects on children, shaping their emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Here are some of the key effects. The first one is low self-esteem and self-doubt. Narcissistic parents often make their children feel they are never good enough. Constant criticism and conditional love lead to chronic self-doubt. Children may develop imposter syndrome or perfectionist tendencies. They never ever feel good enough. Children from narcissistic parents never ever feel good enough. They always feel they lack something, and so it really affects their development. And also, even when they try to attain certain heights in life, they feel they are never ever enough. Okay, the second thing is people pleasing and lack of boundaries. The second effect of narcissistic parenting on children is people pleasing and lack of boundaries. Growing up with a narcissistic parent often teaches children to prioritize the needs of others over their own. They may struggle to set healthy boundaries in relationships. Fear of rejection or conflict makes them overly accommodating. In fact, in my own case, I didn't know about boundaries until much later in life, and it was because of growing up with narcissistic parents. Okay, the third effect of narcissistic parenting on children is emotional suppression and anxiety. Emotional suppression and anxiety. Their emotions may have been invalidated, leading to difficulty expressing feelings. For instance, when they express their feelings and they are shut down, children find it difficult to express their feelings much later because they've always been invalidated by their parents. They may experience chronic anxiety, hypervigilance, or even panic disorders. Fear of parental disapproval can also result in excessive self-monitoring. So what is the fourth effect of narcissistic parenting on kids? Kids who grow up under narcissistic parents struggle with identity and self-worth. Narcissistic parents often project their own desires onto their children, leading to confusion about personal identity. As a result, these children cannot place themselves. They do not know where they fit in because they are trying to get the approval of their parents, and so it leads to confusion about personal identity, and as a result these children may become overachievers to gain approval or feel directionless due to lack of self-trust. Now, the fifth effect of narcissistic parenting on children is the tendency to attract toxic relationships. Now, these children, because they have grown up under narcissistic parents, often unconsciously attract narcissists or emotionally unavailable partners. And so they may tolerate manipulation, they may tolerate gaslighting, they may tolerate emotional neglect, and the cycle of seeking validation from unhealthy sources continues. So it's like from one narcissistic end to the other narcissistic end. It's like a cycle, it's a vicious cycle, and I tell you, you don't want to find yourself in that kind of cycle. So the sixth effect of growing up with narcissistic parents is guilt, shame and chronic insecurity. Guilt, shame, and chronic insecurity. Narcissistic parents use guilt as a tool for control, and these children grow up feeling responsible for the emotions of their parents, and this results in an internalized sense of shame and chronic self-blame. These children feel responsible for whatever it is that is going wrong with their parents' emotions. And the seventh effect of growing up under narcissistic parents is the fear of failure and perfectionism. Since love was conditional, failure often feels like a threat to self-worth. Perfectionism becomes a coping mechanism to gain approval, and these children may struggle with procrastination or fear of taking risks. As a result, they analyze onto paralysis. They are unable to do anything worthwhile. They analyze and analyze, and they are not able to take risks as a result of the fear of failure and perfectionism, which came about as a result of growing up with narcissistic parents. Now, the eighth effect of growing up with narcissistic parents is struggles with emotional intimacy. Children of narcissistic parents have difficulty trusting others due to past emotional betrayals, and they also may fear vulnerability and believe love is transactional. And some of them develop avoidant or anxious attachment styles in relationships. So if you're one of those who are asking what is avoidant or anxious attachment styles in relationships, is basically this: avoidant and anxious attachment styles are two insecure attachment patterns that shape how people behave in relationships, and this is often rooted in early childhood experiences. And avoidant and anxious attachment styles often attract each other, creating a push and pull dynamic. And the anxious person chases love and reassurance, while the avoidant person withdraws to protect their independence. This cycle leads to emotional roller coasters and frustration. But the good news is, with awareness plus inner work, you can build a secure attachment style, leading to healthier relationships. Now, so what is the ninth effect of growing up with narcissistic parents? There is a cycle of narcissism or codependency. There's a cycle of narcissism or codependency. Some children grow up to repeat the cycle, developing narcissistic traits themselves. Others become highly codependent, seeking validation through caregiving or martyrdom. And if you're one of those asking what is codependency, basically codependency is a toxic relationship pattern where one person becomes overly reliant on another for their sense of worth, identity, and emotional stability. Codependency often leads to one-sided, draining, and unhealthy relationships, whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or even family dynamics. And so, having spoken about the effects of narcissistic parenting on children, let's quickly look at healing and overcoming narcissistic parenting. Therapy and self-reflection can work greatly, and working with a therapist can help unpack childhood wounds. And for me, the greatest therapist is the Holy Spirit, as he helped me to unpack my childhood wounds. When nobody was there, I was alone with the Holy Spirit, and he helped me to unpack my childhood wounds. And so I highly recommend the Holy Spirit to anybody who wants to work with a therapist who truly understands. That is not to say you cannot work with another therapist who is not the Holy Spirit, but I'm just talking about what has worked for me. And in talking about my own healing from narcissistic abuse, I can only talk about what has worked for me. So the first thing is therapy and self-reflection when it comes to healing and overcoming narcissistic parenting. Secondly, setting boundaries. Learning to say no without guilt. Learning to say no without over-explaining yourself. Very, very important. And the third thing that will help you to heal and overcome narcissistic parenting is building your self-worth. Engaging in self-love practices and affirmations. Write down affirmations and read them to yourself on a daily basis. It will help you to build your self-worth. And the fourth thing that will help to heal and overcome narcissistic parenting is breaking the cycle. Recognize the unhealthy patterns in relationships and make conscious changes. It's been such a ride, and I'm super grateful you decided to watch this video till this very end. If you found it valuable, please do let me know in the comments, and also share this video with a friend. Don't also forget to subscribe to this channel, because we got so many other valuable videos coming your way. Before I go, let me quickly ask this question. Would you like insights on healing strategies or how to navigate a relationship with a narcissistic parent? Do let me know in the comments.